everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Catherine Larimer's Guide to Life podcast as I frantically try and get the microphone volume ready up. Not doing very well today. A professional as ever, I know. Right, so welcome to this week's edition of Catherine Larimer's Guide to Life podcast. I think I've already said that, but hey, better off saying it twice and doing it properly. What's been happening? Well, I'm recording this in November. I've got a white roof. Haven't got snow, but it's a heavy frost, and I do have snow on the hills in front of me. It's a pretty chilly one. So this week's podcast, I'm recording a week early. I usually do my news ones on the Friday, but having looked at my schedule, it's a massively hectic one. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to be next Friday, so I'm doing it a week early. Right, so what have been so for anybody that's not listened to one of these before, okay, and basically I kind of cover some of the stories from the month. So I found the news is quite depressing, so I tend not to kind of like listen or watch it all of the time. I maybe have a quick scan through the BBC website and have a look at the Telegraph and the Guardian and stuff on Instagram to get a rough idea of what's going on in the world at this particular moment in time. So if you want to keep in touch with stuff, but you don't want to spend too much time going on watching the news. For anyone that doesn't know me personally, my dad's obsessed with the news. He listens to the news in the morning. He watches it. I don't know what time it's on. Is it on about 9:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock? Then it's lunchtime news, evening news, tea time, and then so it's the BBC at 1 o'clock and the BBC at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, is it whatever time it is? I don't even know what time it's on anymore. And then just for a change, ITV, right, in the evening, right? Honestly, he's obsessed with the news. And it's a bit of a family joke. So consequently, I just don't really, watch the news too much because it's all really depressing. So it was quite sad actually. There was a guy, a 100-year-old guy, and he was a war veteran, and he basically said, it wasn't worth it because everything's going on and there's in the world, and it's just a horrible place and people are horrible and terrible. And I thought, well, actually, is that the case though? I mean, or is it just because of that bad news travels better than good news? Because actually I see great things happening all around us all the time. If someone's in trouble in my village, then someone puts a shout out on sort of Facebook, and there's loads of people who kind of come and say, yeah, okay, I'll give you a hand with that. I think I've mentioned as well, my dad and I were moving me in, and we were struggling carrying something, and some woman actually stopped the car and said, hey guys, do you need a hand? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And she helped us carry it in. And I didn't even know this person, but that's the kind of like little Welsh village that I live in. Even being English, they're really lovely here. They're so nice. I remember, I think I've said before, but there was someone said, I've got this piece of furniture that's upstairs in my house. I can't get it out. I'm getting something delivered. Please help me. And someone said, oh, that's okay. I'll come around and chop it up for you. And they did, and it was just it's just great. It's brilliant. And I think that's one of the great things about living in a small little local place is you've got a bit of a community going on. And so that's really, really nice. But, and it's not like that everywhere. In towns, maybe not quite so much. But that's what it's like living in a little village, which is why I live in a little village. Right, so what's been happening in the news this month, okay? So have a listen to this if you don't want to listen to the news, and I'll give you a bit of a recap. Right, so prisoners released in error. There's been quite a few of them, haven't they? How does that happen? Do they not have like some kind of ID check that says, right, you're X, Mr. X, right, okay, let's have a look on the computer. Right, you should be here until 2025. How did this happen? Okay, I don't understand, how that happened. But apparently there was that one, there was a major incident, people kind of demonstrating and rioting because some asylum seeker had attacked some girl, and then, people all erupted, and that's when it all started about people, asylum seekers being kept in hotels. And sorry, I keep hesitating because I knew this would happen. Right. My partner was out late last night, and I sent him loads of little nice WhatsApp messages, and I thought, he's going to have a lie-in because he's not working this morning and he's going off somewhere, and I'm actually going to go and house sit for him. And I thought, right, I'll send him. And then consequently, just as I'm doing this podcast live, his WhatsApp messages are going through, and I'm having to say, ignore that message, because if I don't, it'll come back. So that's why I'm kind of like pausing and hesitating a little bit, just in case you're wondering about continuity flow. Okay, hopefully it's finished now. I'll reply to him later on. So prisoners released in Eric. Yeah, so I mean, I just can't understand how people could be that stupid. It's a simple admin thing, surely. Anyway, right, what else? I'm going to keep Trump to last. Right, so I've put top peeps resigned, okay? I have no idea what that means, okay? If you can know what it means, then, just, hey, let me know, because I don't know. Oh, top peeps resigned. I've just remembered, BBC. Yeah, that goes on. BBC and serious poo, aren't they? Over this whole panorama documentary about Trump, and they've edited the speech and it made him sound like he was inciting violence. But wait, wasn't he inciting violence? I'm pretty sure he was, so hey, there we go. You just got to be really, really careful with Trump. Don't say anything, that you could get sued over. I don't know enough about the situation. I haven't even seen the documentary. I have no idea. I've never watched any of his speeches just to cover myself. I don't know if he was or not, at the end of the day. I doubt he'll ever listen to this anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Right, King Charles has met the Pope. Yeah, first time in 500 years. And then after King Charles met the Pope says to Donald Trump, when Jesus returns at the end of the world, people need to believe in... no, that's something else. No, I'm supposed to quote it. That means I need to go and find it, doesn't it? Right, hang on a minute. This will teach you to be a little bit more organised. Someone's apologising for something. Right, hang on. I retweeted it so that I'd be able to find it quite easily. Not retweeted it, reposted it. I won't be able to find it. Here we are. Right. The Pope said, Jesus says very clearly at the end of the world, we're going to be asked, how did you receive the foreigner? Did you receive him and welcome him or not? This is in relation to Trump sending all of these people I don't know if you've seen it. It's quite horrific, actually. All these immigration officers are basically having to round up legal immigrants in the States and deport them to wherever they came from. And some people have actually had children over here and they've had to go and leave their children, which is, I don't know, it's just pretty shocking. And do you know what? It's kind of reminding me a little bit about Nazis and the Jews. It's not great, and it doesn't look great. It's just it's a little bit concerning. Very, very, in fact, really concerning. Okay, just mark that one as red. Sorry, another one came through. This is going to be continual all the way through my podcast. I've had that before, actually. Usually that sort of thing is mother, isn't it? Robot army, right? Russia have made a robot. It fell over, but you're kind of thinking, looks like a bit like C-3PO. And then you're thinking, well, shortly after, if we can do one robot, then you build a factory and you start mainline production of robots that walk and talk and programmed, a bit like what they called the white doggy kind of robot things from Star Wars. Stormtroopers, okay? Army of stormtroopers. And also Russia's sending this boat around, isn't he? Aren't they? This spy boat that everyone knows what it is. It's pretty obvious they're mapping where all the gas lines and all the cables are. So it doesn't take a massive leap of imagination to think at some point in the future, Russia builds a robot army and then they send drone rounds to take out all the pipelines to the gas so we all freeze, and all the kind of cabling communication infrastructure which businesses all need now to survive, and we all need it for, literally you could bring basically most of Europe to a standstill, certainly the UK. So I just, it's a little bit worrying, if I'm honest, a bit worrying. I think we are in for darker times ahead. So, message I've got today is just go and live your life and do what it is you want to go and do now. Well, we still can. Trump's suing the BBC. Is he or isn't he? I'm recording this on Thursday. There's no sign of it happening yet, although he promised that he would. But then he said to the BBC, apologise and give me some compensation. I'll leave you alone. So the BBC apologised, said, no, we're not paying you any compensation. Okay, but we will apologise. And then he's like, oh, well, no, you haven't done what I asked, so therefore I'm going to sue you. But actually they did apologise. So, if you kind of like go back on your word after saying I'll leave it alone when you didn't, it just looks like you're a money-grabbing narcissist. Oh, wait, he's a money-grabbing narcissist. That's what narcissists do, isn't it? They're just all about power and money, which is a sad life. I mean, he must be pretty empty. Very, very sad man. Is he suing the BBC? I don't know. Should we have a quick look on Instagravy and have a little look and see what's going on in the world? Right, I'll just pause it and be a bit professional. No, I can't see anything about Sump. I think I prefer that. I'm going to call him that. I can't see anything about Sump suing the BBC just yet. So we're still waiting to hear if that's actually going to happen. But he has signed a bill ordering the release of the Epstein files, and he also called a female reporter who was on Air Force One, "Shut up, piggy." Well, I'm sorry, but isn't that deeply inappropriate? And I think a lot of the female population, myself included, my reply to him, what a twat. I mean, seriously, if you can't come up with something, if you don't like the question, just say, sorry, I'm not answering that question at this time. You don't, it's just such an obnoxiously horrible man. He just really gets under my skin. I just don't like him at all. Hey, what else has happened? William and Kate have met Paddington. Okay, that's some exciting news. I like Paddington. I think that's a great story. That's on the BBC kind of Instagravy posts. What else have we got? Okay, let's have a little look. Nothing particularly there. We've lost a few people this month, unfortunately. Right. Go back to this one. Sarah Cox. Okay, fellow equestrian. Showing that women over 50 are amazing by doing the 135 mile walk up north, or run up north. So it's a few marathons and for children in need, getting Pudsey to Pudsey. And I think she's raised something like over 11 million now. I mean, outstandingly inspiring. Well done. Here's for Sarah Cox. There we go. That was for Sarah Cox. Okay, so now Trump's obviously trying to get a ceasefire with Ukraine and Russia. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll all work out. It'll be quite good. Let's have a little look. So the country's going to poo, really, isn't it? Households face unexpected rise in energy prices in the new year. Great. That's just what we wanted, because food costs have gone up as well. And it's getting worse and worse. Then also an inquiry has come out about how the UK handled the COVID inquiry, what they could have done differently, and there's various criticisms there. Scotland football team have qualified for the World Cup for the first time in a significant amount of time, which is great. So that's pretty good. That's all great news. I think we should probably sort of mention that one. Okay, Nigel Farage is in trouble this month, facing fresh claims of racism and anti-Semitism at school. Well, come on, guys, that was a little bit of a while ago. I mean, it's probably completely changed since then. It's like people do kind of change as they get older. Although, valid in point, but there we go. They want to tax the super rich. There's some strange things going on, because the problem is with Labour, they always do tax and spend. This always happens, which is why I didn't vote Labour. Okay, didn't vote for him. Rishi had everything under control. He had the backing of the bankers, which is what you need when you're kind of really struggling. The economy was back on track. And said what's happening is Labour are going to start taxing everybody, and companies are already turning around saying, I'm going to have to pay X amount of taxes. You're changing the whole family inheritance thing. Therefore, we're not going to look to build businesses. We're not going to grow them. We won't employ more people because we're going to have to pay too much tax. Eurostar have turned around and said, well, do you know what? I'm going to have to pay X amount of tax. So I can't afford to make any changes. And it's just, it doesn't work. That's not how you grow the economy, not taxing people. It doesn't work. It never has done. So what will happen is the same thing will happen again. The country will crumble in about 5 years' time. We'll be on our knees again. And then the Conservatives will come back and build them all up again. And it's just a recurring cycle. But we just get impatient and we want things to change. When, as people, we're going to have to accept, that actually there isn't any money. We've run out. Gordon Brown sold all the gold. We don't have any more. There's nothing left. There's nothing in the kitty. And we need to, I don't know what it is. I don't know the answer. But I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to start. And just thankfully, I'm just quite glad at this point that I don't have a career in politics. Wouldn't want to go there. It's not worth the stress. But to be fair, well done for people who are doing it. Oh, hang on. Something going on here with my phone. I've pressed the wrong button. Something to do with Delhi and a load of rubbish. Okay. So that's about it for this month's news. Obviously, I can guarantee that something really catastrophic like the end of the world will happen next week, and I'll have missed it because I'm doing it a week early. So I do apologise for that. Anyway, hopefully you'll still be. I don't think that's going to happen just yet anyway. So hopefully that you are still listening and still with me next month for Christmas news, okay? We'll do some... I might try and get... Do you know what I might do, actually? As well as kind of going through the news stories, okay, I might try and find some really nice, like, little Christmas stories from, like, local Facebook groups of really nice things that are happening over Christmas. Yeah. And Mariah Curie will be collecting, obviously, around sort of like Christmas time. So look out for us as well. We'll be kind of haunting local Morrison's supermarkets at various stages throughout the end of November. Okay, so have an amazing week, everybody, and I will catch you next time.